As you saw from the title, we just had a 70% profit in less than 2 weeks. And this is with the leaps that we opened on Ethereum. So we're going to go through that in a little bit. But before, let's talk about Ethereum, Bitcoin, and what to expect from them. And we also have some updates on the copy trading side of things as well. So let's jump right into it. Hello folks, welcome back to another video. Yeah, as I said, we are 71.97%, so 72% in the profit with a single strategy. So it took me 3 clicks, if I'm not mistaken. Strike, price, buy. So yeah, 3 clicks to open a position that generated me 70% in a matter of 11 days actually. So less than 2 weeks. What was it? This was right here, this leap that we covered before. So let me zoom. This was the Ethereum leap that expires next year. So we're talking about 2026. Right here, 2026. And we opened that on July 10th. Today is July 21st. So we opened that 11 days ago. And guess what? 72% here in my pocket. If I were to close it right now, 72.9. So it is going up. So we paid short of $1,000. So $959. And now we have $1,600 here. If you remember, we do almost daily options selling here. We go and usually sell spreads. I usually like to sell spreads here on Bitopex. And these spreads generate income. If you remember, last month we did $400 that we put in our pocket just by selling options. So it is something almost passive. We have to do some due diligence, but it takes us less than 1 hour if you're starting, and then less than 30 minutes when you already have things going to read the market, analyze some data, and then open your position. But with this, it was 3 clicks and I was able to make that $700 in my pocket. So if you remember, before these, we had 2 leaps. We had leaps that we bought last year, and we had one for Ethereum, one for Bitcoin. Guess what? The Bitcoin one did over 100%. If I remember correctly, in a few videos ago, we closed it for 120%, some or less. But then the Ethereum one, because we sold it and Ethereum was above the $3,000 and then we went to 1,900, that one lost money, 60% of its size to be precise. But we had so much more money into the Bitcoin leap that we made a lot to cover it, and we came up with a profit, and that profit we turned around for this Ethereum right here, Ethereum leap for next year. So should I close this and put money in my pocket? Comment down below. I want to hear your strategy. If you think like me and Crypto Ricardo, for example, a longtime friend of mine that is always here in the comments, we share the same mindset, that is profit in my pocket is better than profit still open. If the position is still open, it is not your profit. And a rule of thumb that I like to follow is that if it is good enough for you to screenshot, it is good enough for you to close the position. And we see a lot of this, especially if you are familiar with Wall Street bets. These guys usually take screenshots of massive position, massive profits, but then they never close it in time. So right now, I'm most likely going to close this. But again, I want to hear your thoughts below in the comments, because that, if you have any strategy, since it is a leap for next year, and if you have any analysis saying, hey, Ethereum could go for all-time highs here, it could go back to $4,000. Comment down below. If it makes sense, we close it. If it makes sense to hold, we hold. It is up to you. I want to let you guys almost trade with my money right here on Bitopex. But that being said, let's jump back here on the screen so you can see, and we can jump on the copy trading side of things, because the copy trading is back above 2%, actually almost 3%, 2.74%, and we are reaching $3 million in assets under management. So $3 million of deposited dollars here, getting income, paying you, the customer, a very good ROI per month. If you compound just this month right here, 2.74, we're looking at almost 60% here compounded if we keep that 2.74. If we keep on an average, we're looking at 83% forecast for the whole year. For a whole year ahead, 83% forecast. In the past year, we've made almost 94%, and now the total P&L of the position is 96.8. So if you had deposited $10,000, you would have $19,681 right here for you to play with. So you almost double your capital in 1 year. But now let's take a look at the prices that we have currently. We have Bitcoin at 18,762. We have Ethereum at 3813, so above the 3,800. XRP at 355, amazing prices for XRP. BNB at 776. Solana at 192. Maybe Solana will be touching the 200 here once again. And then we have all the others. Cardano performing very, very well. Dogecoin also performing super, super good. We have Hyperliquid, which has been doing fantastic. If you remember, I got the airdrop from the hype. That airdrop is worth a lot of money right now. Then we have Stellar, one of my favorites. Sui, also very, very good. Chainlink and all these others. If we look right here at Bitcoin, you can see that it was a little bit stagnating. We went from $122,000, we went back to 115, and now we're cruising. As I said before, what we are expecting to see is a slowdown in the RSI. So the RSI went all the way to the 76, and now we need to slow down. We had a huge lag from the 107 all the way to the 122. This was a huge movement in a matter of a few days. We saw days after days after days of green candles. So once you see that, you see a huge boost in price, a rampant price action right here for Bitcoin. It needs to slow down. It is what happened here after Trump's election. Huge spike in price, fell down 14% from that first all-time high that it did. And then after that, it fell down another 29%. So we should not be expecting to see, let me pull this back right here. We should not be expecting to see just a straight line. It is not how the market works. The market's not going to go diagonal and upwards the whole time. No, it's not how it works. So now I think we're going to be waiting for the RSI to go back into the high 50s, so 58, 59, and then we are going to see moving prices on Bitcoin again. But what does that mean? It means that money will flow to Ethereum, and it is flowing to Ethereum. Look at the difference. After Bitcoin started to stagnate, Ethereum picked up some steam, and now it is looking at the 4,000, which is what we mentioned in the last video. I mentioned that $4,000 was a thing, and now I'm going to tell you $4,000 on Ethereum before we see another all-time high on Bitcoin. So Ethereum will reach $4,000 before we see Bitcoin picking up some steam again. Hopefully Solana will follow along. Solana is doing very, very good right now, looking for the $2,000 right here. On the daily, we see that it is already super extended on the RSI, 78 on the RSI. Solana will have to slow down a little bit. I don't know how that will happen. Most likely Ethereum will do a little bit of a slowdown as well. And then we're going to see that slowdown going towards Solana. But Solana, very, very huge green candle right here. If we go to the 4 hours, you can see it even clearer. Look at this movement right here. We went from the 180 to the 192 in just one day, and it is upwards. No one is stopping that. A lot of volume here. On the 4 hours, we're looking at 82 on the RSI. So not enough liquidations for it to talk about. This is common for now. And on the liquidation heat map for Bitcoin, we are looking right below the $120,000 right here. But switching to Ethereum, we see a whole different scenario. Look, Ethereum is way closer to its goal or its magnet than Bitcoin is, which means, as I said, I think Ethereum will get here first and then look for the $4,000 before Bitcoin does its thing and look for the 122 on its side. So right now, right here, we're seeing on Ethereum, very good volatility. Look at the volatility. 70 is awesome. We want everything above 70. I was struggling so hard all these days below 70 because here at 60, it is so bad for you to sell options. You're selling options for cents. You're selling options for dimes. It doesn't make sense to sell options right here. Sometimes it is better just to skip. So which is what I did most of these days. I did not trade. I even made a video about it, why I wasn't trading actively like most of other times, because my strategy is shorting volatility. So I want to sell at high IV and let IV drop, which is what makes me the most money. But there's of course also other strategies, but this is one I've mastered and one I make the most money with. Now, if you want to be looking at what's going to happen to Ethereum, what's going to happen to Bitcoin, what direction are they going to go, you look at the M2 global supply over Bitcoin. So here we have the white line, which is the Bitcoin price, and the pinkish, the red line is the global supply, meaning that how much supply there is in the world. And when that goes up after 3 months skew, more or less 10 weeks skew, you're going to see the same thing happening for Bitcoin, almost 1-to-1. Of course, not 1-to-1, but almost 1-to-1, especially direction wise. So you saw this huge boost in price, and guess what? We still haven't updated because here it shows July 6th, but we had a huge spike in price all the way to the 122 for Bitcoin. And now I think we're going to be seeing in a little bit, when this chart updates in the next couple of days, a little bit of a line slowing down like it did right here. And then Bitcoin in a couple of days will also start to slow down, show signs of consolidation, of waiting out the market. So you can mark my words, this is what we're going to see here. And then after that, we should start to see another leg up, going upwards. So hopefully that makes sense to you. This is a very good indicator. Not the one you should trust for slower time frame trading. No, but this for leaps, this is amazing for you to watch. For example, for me, I'm going to wait to see sign of going down a little bit right here, then making a little bottom just like this, for example, showing some strength to go up. And then it should be a good place for me to open a leap. Am I going to hold a leap for a whole year? Maybe even more? No, I am not doing that because I think September will be the top of the cycle. And then we either rotate to altcoins or then we start another bear cycle where we have to wait. So in the bear cycle, I'm going to be looking at a bottom to see or a possible bottom so we can buy leaps then at the bottom to have a huge upside opportunity for these leaps of ours. So hopefully you were able to make sense out of this video. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. Thank you so much, because the last 2 or 3 videos have been performing super good. Hopefully the channel is picking up some steam. YouTube is trying to understand again what we're trying to do, what is our demographic, because this was a little bit scrambled by the YouTube algorithm. We have been forgotten, and hopefully we get that back very soon. Thank you always for the opportunity. I'll see you guys on the next video by Friday. Thank you. Take care. Peace.